Hello there. Today I finally picked up Black Bag and watched it. Hoo boy, do I have things to say about this film. To give you a little context, Black Bag is a spy thriller about an intelligence operative trying to recover a piece of stolen tech and having to investigate his wife. It stars Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett, Tom Burke, Naomi Harris, Marissa Abela, and Regé-Jean Page. The story was written by David Cope, and the film was directed by Steven Soderbergh. Alright, so this film is basically a whodunit. Michael Fassbender is the agent trying to find the mole, and he runs around interrogating the others. Cate Blanchett plays his wife, another spy, and she has a mission of her own going on that she doesn't tell him about. Tom Burke, Marissa Abela, Naomi Harris, and Regé-Jean Page all play suspects in the film, and fellow spies working at their agency. There's a bunch of one-on-one conversations between them, a lot of twists and turns, and a whole lot of exposition dumping, like right on your chest, and enough to put a herd of wild elephants to shame. Visually, the film involves the characters moving between 3 or 4 different locations and having intense one-on-one conversations. In them, Fassbender tries to get information out of people without asking any direct questions, and they try to squirm out of his grip. The other characters all have something to hide, but eventually everything comes out, which leads to a quick and violent climax. Most of the locations are everyday places like an office building or a modern home. Everything is shot with a basic and straightforward mindset. Sound-wise, the film is also quite simple. It uses jazz-style instrumentals during transition scenes, like when they're walking down the street or switching locations. Alright, I didn't like much about this film, but I think there's a few things that should be mentioned as positives. The cast and the visual journey are fine. The cast are asked to deliver long, wordy dialogues and pull it off as best they can. The characters they're asked to play are pretty garbage, but their performance wasn't the problem. Fassbender and Blanchett get the most screen time and do a decent job with their emotional arcs. Fassbender plays a nerdy analyst that is precise in how he operates. He coldly and carefully picks apart his opponents, but shows a great deal of passion when it concerns his wife. Fassbender shows off a decent amount of chemistry with Blanchett and does well leading the conversations with the rest of the cast. Blanchett plays a fiery agent with a more direct approach than her husband. She's often confronting people directly and asking them exactly what she needs to know. Blanchett doesn't get as much to do as Fassbender, but still does well during their relationship moments, and manages to put on a good show during the finale. The rest of the cast each get a small one-note personality to do and a few tense conversations with Fassbender. Page, Abela, Burke, and Harris all hold their own against him. Visually, the film is quite simple, but it's easy to follow along with. They have a few different locations and they set them up well enough. It's not the most thrilling affair, but it works. Now on to the numerous negatives. The writing is awful and it holds the cast back. The visual journey is boring and the soundtrack does nothing for the film. The visual journey is literally just one plain conversation after another. The characters aren't being dramatic or getting riled up. There's no big emotional swings. It's just cold, hard deliveries with a lot of posturing. They don't even use the scenery. When things finally heat up, there's one gunshot and then the film ends 3 minutes later. It's a complete letdown. If they wanted this film to be even remotely interesting from a visual standpoint, they needed to find a bunch of cool-looking places and have mobile conversations in them. Let the actors do something other than look at each other. As it is, they just stand there and talk back and forth. Sound-wise, the film isn't trying. They have elevator music that plays while the characters are moving between scenes, and that's about it. It doesn't build the atmosphere, support any of the emotions, or even remotely entertain the audience. It even does that wind-down noise when it's ending to let you know the characters are about to speak. It's so pointless, and they only had like 2 songs. They just played them over and over again. The writing is the real problem, though. First off, the situation doesn't make any sense. It's another one of those magic device plots where the spies have a thing that could cause great harm and it magically disappeared without anyone noticing. They don't really explain how it disappeared, they just slowly drip feed you information about why and who took it. When things are revealed, they give a bunch of quick, basic answers to wrap everything up and then pull the trigger on the finish. The conversations aren't exciting. They never manage to build any sense of suspense. Hell, they barely explain what the device is and what it does. There is literally nothing to keep the story interesting unless you're really into simple conversations. The cast suffers the most from it. They don't get to do anything. The characters they play are boring. Even the dialogue is just wordy nonsense that sounds awful. Personally, I can't believe this film has got a good reputation. I was bored to tears watching it and actually had to take a little nap halfway through in order to finish it. Honestly, watching it wasn't that different from watching an indie project that a bunch of friends did at home. It has little to no visual value. The actors aren't challenged in any way, shape, or form. The soundtrack is an afterthought, and the writing is boring. As for a rating, this might actually be one of the worst films I've seen this year. I'd give it a 2 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.